Battlefield 6 has entirely revitalised the Battlefield community and the FPS community as a whole, reaching an all-time peak of 656,000 players and still having a regular player count of around 100,000. Battlefield 6 is still a massive game, but with so many great games having released recently, is it worth spending all of your hard-earned money on Battlefield 6? To immediately answer that question, or whether or not it is worth buying, I would say it is a lot of fun, but it does have its downfalls, and there is nothing wrong with waiting for a good offer. To go further into it, let's have a look at some of the more positive aspects of Battlefield 6 first. The early release of Battlefield 6 was actually really good. Typical Battlefield games have a really bad launch. Battlefield 4 especially had an awful launch to where the game was actually unplayable in quite a few aspects, and Battlefield 6 compared to that was exceptional. The beta was a lot of fun, and the full game was a lot of fun too. There were a few issues at launch, of course, I'll get into that later, but it was mostly just enjoyable, and it was great to have a solid military shooter game back in the gaming environment. The first season of content was also released very soon after launch, with new guns and new maps coming, as well as a few new game modes. Having new content come out so early does mean it keeps the game fresh. It also means that anyone who played the game at launch has something to look forward to not long after launch to stay involved in the game, to not get attracted to other video games. There have also been regular updates and improvements. It's clear that DICE have been listening to the community and bringing out updates and fixing issues the community has, as well as bringing out content that does fit more in line with what is wanted. There have been some really exciting new updates, with more seasons coming in the new year. Like I said, it took barely any time to get Season 1, who knows how quickly we'd have Season 2, or 3, or 4, and who knows what kind of content we could have. If they continue listening to the community and give them what they want, we could have a really enjoyable game. We're still missing any naval warfare, which is definitely an addition that DICE looks like they'll be adding in at some point, so that could definitely be great fun to see. There is also endless possibilities with the Portal mode. Anything you can think of you can create, and the actual aspect and the way you can create maps in Portal is exceptional. I would go as far to say it is one of the best map creation tools we have seen in a video game in a long time, if not ever. If DICE uses it right, they could just let Portal be its own thing, picking up on a few essential maps and game modes that are super exciting and highlighting them for the rest of the community, allowing players to find them and keeping the game moving, keeping it a live, organic thing. The game also just puts such a smile on your face at the best of times. It's been a long while since I played a first-person shooter game that actually made me smile and made me enjoy it, and made me think I want to get one more game in because I had such good fun playing that last one, rather than thinking I want to get one more game in because there's a challenge or there's an objective I need to complete. However, saying that, many of the new updates have brought more bugs, and it seems like there's a new issue every week, whether it is the hit reg, the TTK or Bloom. And they have also brought out a battle pass with numerous challenges. Now, whether or not that's your kind of thing, you do have to admit there is an excessive amount of challenges. Just look at the screen now. The amount of challenges here that are basically the same thing several times, or such small details that basically force you to play it. And when you are playing, you do think, well, I want to complete this challenge, so I'll use this weapon, and that can be helpful and that can be fun. And specifically with the battle pass, it just becomes by getting XP. You are so focused on just getting the battle pass and getting the next unlock to get that next weapon or cosmetic, and it really doesn't change anything. Whether or not you have a certain skin doesn't change how the game works, and of course it doesn't mean you're any better or any worse at the game. Furthermore, that the DLC was very quick, but it was also lacking again. We only had 2 new long rifles and 1 new pistol. It's clear that a live service feature is being favoured here, and that it is more of DICE's objective to drip feed lots of content over a long period of time than it is to bring out a big bulk of DLC and deliver it all at once. You can argue that that is better for the game, that by having consistent content coming out regularly, it'll keep the game more alive and more fresh. However, I ask you to look back at games like Battlefield 4, that came out with DLCs that had 4 or 5 maps in them, and were so much fun to play. They had new game modes, they had multiple new weapons for each class, and each DLC was a real surprise for anyone in the community. Any new season at the moment just feels like more content that was held back from launch, rather than actual additional content they've properly worked on to try and change up how the game works. The Portal mode has also been very poorly supported, with full XP being removed for any PPE modes with certain bots, and clearly this is a big issue for a large portion of the player base. Personally, I struggle to understand why we want to buy a multiplayer game and just play versus enemies, but again, that is a large portion of the community, and to completely cut them out by removing all XP from any game modes they play is a real shame. Regardless whether or not people are using it unfairly, I think there's a better way to do that than just cutting out people entirely. Battlefield 6 has also had a bit of a change in gameplay. It's gone from the typical tactical and slow gameplay of Battlefield with large maps to a faster, more sliding game mode that a lot of players find frustrating. At times I really enjoy this change of game mode, and at other times I find it frustrating and almost overly stressful. When I just want to play a game and enjoy it, it does feel like I'm spawning in, getting shot and dying, and just repeating the process over and over again. It does feel sometimes like you are in the movie Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, where you do enter the battle, you die, you go back into the same situation, and you die again. I can honestly see why a lot of people wouldn't enjoy that and would want to move over to other games or to PvE game modes. Speaking of other game modes, there is also RedSec, and Battlefield does have a split attention on RedSec. A lot of the features, a lot of the Battle Pass challenges are focused towards RedSec, whether or not you actually play that game mode or not. Now of course RedSec is free to play, and again that is great for the game to hopefully bring in more players, but it does mean that DICE has to split their time between two game modes, two full games essentially. That can be very difficult to do. And lastly, there is other games like Arc Raiders, Expedition 33, which of course won Game of the Year. Then there's Dispatch or Ghost of Yotei. Now these are all some incredible games. If you like shooter games, then Arc Raiders is a perfect choice. If you prefer more story-driven things, then something like Expedition 33 or Dispatch or again Ghost of Yotei are great options as well, and they offer something completely different from Battlefield 6. And if it's a game that you think you'll get more time out of, then I think I'd actually go with those options instead. In terms of Battlefield 6, there is nothing to lose in waiting for a good offer or a free-to-play weekend to decide if you actually enjoy playing the game or not. If you have just played RedSec, I would say that it is not a fair representation of what the full game is like. RedSec and Battlefield 6 do feel like two different entities basically using the same engine, and while I enjoy the multiplayer more, I can see why RedSec is fun, I just haven't got into it that much. So overall, while I think Battlefield 6 has had a fantastic launch and a fantastic first few months, way better than typical Battlefield games, which obviously were just rife with issues, the game is also a lot of fun and has been since launch. However, it seems to be in a seesaw state where one issue is fixed, another is broken. So if you can look past those issues and admit that it will continue to have more in the future, and if you don't mind the change in play style, Battlefield 6 is a lot of fun, and honestly it can only get better. So what do you think? Will you or have you bought Battlefield 6 already, and what do you think of the game as a whole? I kind of wanted this to be a little bit of a review of how Battlefield 6 has gone so far, and I hopefully have put that all in a video for you guys to enjoy. So like I said, if you have any thoughts, please leave them down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.